Tonight, I can report to the world that the strikes were a spectacular military success. Iran's key nuclear enrichment facilities have been completely and totally obliterated. Iran, the bully of the Middle East, must now make peace. If they do not, future attacks will be far greater and a lot easier.
Guys, so Donald Trump has, the US has actually officially, I don't know if this is a declaration of war anyway, but you know, this whole bombardment of the enrichment facilities, nuclear enrichment facilities in Iran, I think it's really going to plunge the whole world into a frenzy. And you know, for me, most of the times, what I think about this escalation between the US, Iran, and Israel and all of that has actually been the positionality of the ANC. And you know, this whole foreign affairs clash now in the GNU, where we know that multiple parties in the GNU have different affiliations. And so how would the government of South Africa react to this kind of event that's actually taking place at the moment? And to know that, you know, the ANC still has, or probably had actually put itself on the kind of like, in a fair relationship with Iran. I'm wondering now how it will conduct itself in the wake of this whole you know, kind of like it stands as taking in terms of taking sides. All right, so Israel, South Africa has actually kind of like portrayed itself as that neutral entity, you know, that's always pursuing peace. In terms of the Ukraine-Russian war, in terms of the Israeli-Iran conflicts and all of that, in terms of Hamas. Although the ANC actually rose and condemned Israel's attack on Hamas, arguing for, you know, against Israel's what was actually now defined or portrayed as a leeway into a form of apartheid going on there. But now, in terms of this strike on Iran, it's really difficult for me to see how the ANC would want to conduct itself, knowing fully well that the ANC has a long-standing relationship in history with Iran. You know, it's going to be a struggle, because now the USA is actually giving its own stand, kind of like succinctly, you know, with this strike on Iran, that yes, this is now our way to pursue peace. The way we want to pursue peace is by, you know, peace through strength. The US, you know, military head of defense, Pete Hegseth, has always spoken about, you know, the US strategy of peace through strength, and much more what he calls deterrence. All right. In other words, trying to make sure that peace is ensured by strength, being strong and showing that strength. So this whole aggravation of the crisis now between the US and Iran, by what Donald Trump argued, as I think it was, it said the US, I'll be playing the video soon anyway, but Trump argued that, you know, it tried to conduct dialogue with Iran for a while, but somehow there was that delay, and Iran wasn't actually being kind of like upfront in signing those documents and all of that. And so as a result of that, they had to launch these strikes, arguing that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. While Iran argues, the Prime Minister of Iran, the Foreign Minister, actually came up this morning to actually argue that, you know, the nuclear enrichment facilities that Iran has actually been building or kind of like developing are actually peaceful. All right, that they've been doing peaceful nuclear enrichment programs in Iran. And so the US and I think Israel just couldn't have that kind of thing, arguing that, you know, they actually, probably it's kind of like, I don't know if it's from intelligence or so, that Iran has been enriching these nuclear facilities to one day maybe strike at the heart of Iran, or I don't know. So this has actually been the conflict. So it's really strange. And, you know, knowing fully well that the likes of Rob Hersov in South Africa has actually been warning, not warning per se, but really assuading to the fact that, you know, the ANC has actually been, in a way, been getting some kind of support from Iran in terms of maybe, I think, financial support. I don't really know, but Rob Hersov has been at the forefront of that campaign, arguing that, you know, the ANC has actually been having this push. Now, in the wake of this really blatant conflagration between the ANC and the US, it's really difficult on how the conflagration between Iran and the US. it's really difficult to ascertain how the ANC would respond. Would the ANC categorically also come out, or kind of like condemn this attack by the US now that it's trying to find a reset button for the GNU, so to speak, especially in the light of the leadership of President Cyril Ramaphosa, trying to find a reset in US-South Africa relationship, this reset? Would it have to sort of like castigate this relationship it has had for a long time with Iran because of this pursuit for a bilateral reset in its relationship between the US, or would it condemn the US? It's really tricky, and I think it's going to be putting the ANC in a really difficult place, especially now that it's part, and I think the majority now in the GNU. So it's really getting more and more interesting for South Africa going forward in terms of foreign relations, and Donald Trump really is not playing. Let's quickly listen to Donald Trump address the world in the reasons why it had to conduct this, what it calls a precision strike on the nuclear facilities, that nuclear enrichment facilities that Iran has been developing, and share your thoughts, guys. What do you think this would be the ramification for South Africa-Iran relationship and South Africa-US relationship? Share your thoughts in the comments.
Our objective was the destruction of Iran's nuclear enrichment capacity and a stop to the nuclear threat posed by the world's #1 state sponsor of terror. Tonight, I can report to the world that the strikes were a spectacular military success. Iran's key nuclear enrichment facilities have been completely and totally obliterated. Iran, the bully of the Middle East, must now make peace. If they do not, future attacks will be far greater and a lot easier. For 40 years, Iran has been saying death to America, death to Israel. They have been killing our people, blowing off their arms, blowing off their legs with roadside bombs. That was their specialty. We lost over 1,000 people, and hundreds of thousands throughout the Middle East and around the world have died as a direct result of their hate. In particular, so many were killed by their general, Qasem Soleimani. I decided a long time ago that I would not let this happen. It will not continue. I want to thank and congratulate Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu. We worked as a team like perhaps no team has ever worked before. And we've gone a long way to erasing this horrible threat to Israel. I want to thank the Israeli military for the wonderful job they've done. And most importantly, I want to congratulate the great American patriots who flew those magnificent machines tonight, and all of the United States military on an operation the likes of which the world has not seen in many, many decades.